Welcome guys everyone and hello to a little bit of a setup guide tonight here on rFactor 2 with the freshly released rFactor Pro car, and I welcome you guys to a little bit of a more, well, educational approach as okay, my keyboard is just about to distinguish into its parts, so new keyboard on the list. Is pretty much required soon. Anyway, coming back to the topic, we are doing a little bit of a setup guide around no other circuit than the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. So now you guys be like, why to choose such a specific track for testing or for setup guiding? It's just very easy because loads of corners, loads of low speed corners, low aerodynamical grip, but a lot of mechanical grip that we need. And since I want to stress out the suspension a little bit today, I thought about why not making it right here. So we are sitting in our session already, an hour and 30 minutes of time. We quickly go through a couple of things. So I will take heavy fuel. I will take the hard tire first. You know, just like approach it a bit of how Formula One would approach it. Currently the gear ratio still goes till 330. I'm pretty sure we can shorten that later on. Other than that, maximum power, brake map is quite neutral. So I think there's 20 different brake maps you can set. I'll just keep it where it is right now. Tires, as I already mentioned, hard tire. Obviously putting minimum tire pressure because it works anyway. There's no physical sense behind it, but it's an rFactor 2 thing. The rest we just leave right now. Like, you know, want to have a very static, well, not static, but standard setup out of the pits and just work from there. Wings are already particularly high, so I just keep them where they are. Same with the differential. I just keep it everywhere where it is. I advise vehicle set. Well, that is a personal liking thing anyway. And then, I guess, we're having a look. So, it will be interesting to see how this car works around this track. And yeah, it is a fairly special track, I do agree. Anyway, can do straight away a test start into neutral we go. Obviously on this track no DRS mapped. Well, not obviously, it should be mapped actually, but it's not. Anyway, let's try to get into the groove at first. Also we can see maybe it's mapped here on. Yeah, there you go. So DRS at least on the back straight. Not too much of an interesting one for us right now anyway. First need to get a little bit up and ready with the actual track before then coming straight away into the setup process, but obviously for the time being need to get car feel around the circuit. It's also a bit of an interesting one as on this circuit you can obviously do a lot of tests with the tires as well. How long are they lasting? How quickly are they wearing out? What's their actual time drop? And yeah, their actual grip they are losing. Since, you know, this circuit, the mechanical grip is pretty dominant. A lot of low to mid speed corners. A lot of direction changes and kind of chicanes. I think this is the only fast corner existing, fourth gear, as of right there. Let's see what kind of lap times we're able to do. If I'd have a guess, I think we're looking into 45s to 150s. Oh, the car in that turn just doesn't want to turn at all. So you can already see that there is some laziness going on the front. Obviously the car in general pretty lazy anyway. Into the traction zone we go. So I guess there is no doubt about it. First we get the little bit of aero that we can set into the balance, which is maximum front wing straight away. For those of you that seen the stream last night on Traction GG, us driving in the wet Silverstone, imagine how that would be around here. It's like probably first gear everywhere, just limping around the circuit. Going a bit too quick into turn 1. So right now probably still gains of time due to getting ready on the track. Top speed 301. Gearbox could do 335. So we know that we got something to change. Oops. So something that is particularly difficult in this car is once you have turned into a corner with overspeed, you will quickly understeer and wash out. And that's going to be fairly interesting for the actual season. Since, you know, some cars when you're just too quick, you just turn a little more and you invest a little bit of tire life. And then just get the car back in correct position. But here you can't do that. So in that regard, since we're fighting that much with the understeer anyway, we have in mind that we could potentially be a good second quicker at this stage. Or you're gonna get the car to box and start with the actual setup work. So, as already mentioned, basics first, maximum front wing whatsoever. Like, there is no other way around it. And then the next thing that we do, weight distribution. The more you have this at the back, the more easy the car will turn in. And the more it will bite. Also, usually caster should help a bit for the low speed turns. And that's literally about it for the time being. On the brake buys, nothing really I want to set. Just want to make sure the car doesn't snap, so I'll put that a tap more to the front. Hey there, Joel, how you doing? And on the gearbox then, shorten. Yeah, probably right now. Go one click longer again. But we do a lengthen sixth. We do lengthen first and second because I want to be in that high power area. So I'd rather spend a bit of time in first gear as well. But yeah, we need to see how drivability is affected by that. And yeah, with that we go out again. so that should already give us some time advantage. I forgot to set NOS to on. What is NOS? What? Nitrous oxide, copy. Ah, yeah, okay, copy. No. There is no nitrogen on the car. I was not playing enough games with NOS on, so sorry about that. And I do know the Fast and Furious though. Well, this is Fast and Furious to a certain extent anyway, but it's a different topic, isn't it? Anyway, so with the front wing adjustment, now we have shifted the aerodynamical balance a lot further to the front. And oh, look at that! You already see this when turning into the turn. Car suddenly is a lot more oversteery. Let's see if we get killed in this final turn. Yep, Lexar, it's a little bit of backshift of tensors. 4 years ago, the FSR 2017 car I took out here and did some analysis on differential settings, which will be something that is probably fairly important to this setup as well. But for now, more important is to not lose it on whatever thing. Ricardo, I think it is one of the best cars rFactor 2 has ever released. Just because you can't drift slide it, you have to drive it with a proper brain. In the race, probably you have to some sort of underdrive it. And you see it is a little bit tricky to control as well. But from what I have experienced so far, and that is also the reason why I said, okay, let's do a setup guide on this car, is that it is really dependent on the way you set this up. Which means there is a lot of potential ways you can go, you can move forwards with. Top speed and aerodynamical performance goes hand in hand with suspension settings, how real life would counteract as well. Like if you look at the Formula Sim racing car, whatever wing level you set is pretty much going to determine your top speed and stuff like that, and a little bit of rake and drag will influence on it, but not too much. What I found out in this car already is that suspension settings, that the full rake, of course wings and stuff like that, also I think camber settings, they influence the top speed very, very much so, and the car is really, really sensible to that. And there is lots of things that you can set and work around with. And you know, the aerodynamical performance isn't just coming from the wings, it's coming from the entire car, from the from the chassis movement, from the chassis position, from the ride heights, from so many things. Like, I mean, what you find in every setup guide, in every written setup guide, where it says this and that influences the performance on a straight line and whatnot. You can find all that. Yeah, you should. The car is really sensitive to setup, and it is really important that you have a good setup that suits your driving style. And also, you can have a lot of different setup philosophies. Well, usually I'd say I'm afraid. Probably I'd say I'm afraid you have that, which is a good thing though, obviously. Uh-oh, Papa Yerne. And I'm like, I'm sure he's sitting like, Michi, what are you doing in Singapore? Well, I learned to trust the fucking car. I don't think they've patched it since release. I think they plan to patch it. But so far they haven't done it. They are gathering still feedback from the community. One of the feedback of me yesterday was the car's undrivable in the wet. It's good to see we know each other good enough already, isn't it, Yanni? The reality is, Singapore is one of my favorite tracks. I absolutely love to drive fast around here. And I actually also like to race here. It's, you know, like Papa Yanni enjoys every car around Monaco. I enjoy a lot of cars around Singapore. The track has just an unbelievably good rhythm. Yeah, and for today I've chosen Singapore because I think chassis grip and chassis performance is very important here. Also, I want to find out a little bit on how the car generally behaves. Oh, I think it's from somewhere from race department, and this is the 2015 to 2019 layout. So with a new bridge. A bit too wide, a bit too fast. So, despite we suffer from understeer in most of the cases, it's the rear tires that are suffering most at the minute, which obviously means we need to tackle them. And I am thinking about tackling them with a rear wing at first. That will obviously always help the car in the back. For the time being, I just want to squeeze out everything in the single lap, so I just... Well, that was the squeeze already. Oh, thank you, Squitsil... Oh, sorry. That name, though. Squitsilv... Sizzle... Squitsil... Tell me what I should call you. And I do it. Okay, so aerodynamics. Yeah, every time. I'll just call you Squid, okay? Thank you, Squid. Much appreciated. Or Squitsy. Squitsy is good. Let's call you Squitsy. So, +2 clicks on the rear wing, and then finally start working on the suspension side. Well, first of all, I think, especially in the back, we're hitting Packers. You just feel that suddenly the car, like, the car grips and suddenly it just snaps, which is either an indication of the suspension kind of collapsing or you start grounding, or when the car runs into Packers, the rear suspension turns from soft to, or whatever dampening there is on, to stiff, and that makes you die the same way as well. Same goes for the front. And for the front here, it's not that bad actually, since we only have low to mid-speed corners. But in turn 1920, so the final turns, I really felt the car to jump. I increased the front wing, but the turning, the rotation didn't improve at all, which to me is a clear indication that the setup at the front is kind of limited either um, to right height and grounding or to Packers. So to find out, I'll just remove Packers a little bit, just like in the back, to see whether that improves the situation. Uh, it sent you off. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. Next up, mm, with all the traction that we need, I want to lower the slow rear bump because that will mean the car accepts weight coming to the back a little bit better. And I will also remove anti-roll bars a little bit. Just helps the general grip in the rear end, especially when we're going through corners and trying to accelerate out of the turns and everything. That will help this matter. On the chassis side, nothing too much that can be done really. Brakes, I'm trying a bit more pedal force. I haven't had a real lock up, so yeah, just try and do that. Camber, you want to improve that a little bit since it will help in cornering with the rear stability, something that you really want to have though. And then since we upgraded the front wing and the rear wing, we take 2 clicks away from the final drive. I lengthen the gears again because I want to run as much as possible in the power section, which means as much as possible in high RPM range since it is a V10 engine, naturally aspirated. So yeah, there you go. And I think then we just take the car out again and see whether there's further issues. Why that, Ricardo? I mean, the race itself was boring to watch, I may agree on that. But this track is lovely to race on. It's challenging, and it's not as retarded as Monaco. So from all the settings that we've just done, I hope that the car is a little bit softer, a little bit more balanced in the back, a little bit more solid, really. So 7th gear may just be a tad too short now. Hashtag noted. It depends. Valencia Street Circuit was one of my favorite racetracks. Singapore is one of my favorite racetracks. What else street circuits we got? Let's see how the drivability now is to the final turn. Loads better. There's way more bite on the front end, just exactly what I wanted. And at the same time, of course, we still got the rear end stability, since we upgraded the rear wing. In general, I think we have a faster car by roughly half a second. Let's see if I'm able to extract that pace. There's a bit of an oversteering moment there into turn 13. But here in this area is where we should really gain the time. Car is a bit more pointy, car's a bit more stable in the back. Yeah, 2.5 tenths, and let's see what's the gain through final turn. Another tenth there. I'm not counting the kind of oversteer that we had into that, but the actual travel time was reduced in the final turn as well, so that's good progress. The actual improvement was 6 tenths, but I consider it being 5 tenths due to the hiccup that we had in the other lap in the final turn. So correct direction we're heading to, nearly hitting the limiter here on the way down to turn 6. Pretty sure there is still another tenth or 2 in sector 1, like I'm consecutively missing turn 1. Generally speaking, with the setup adjustments I just did, there is way more confidence in the rear end now, so I feel way better pushing it. Brake bias a bit forward for this turn 13 now, as I was fighting some snap oversteer into the turn. Too quick into 15, F's up 16, 17, 18. Not pitch perfect. Still a bit too much tire wear in the back. Clear indication that there is still a little bit too much balance at the front. Despite we're already fighting that understeer, but you still feel the car is at sometimes a bit wobbly. So we still need to tackle the rear balance. Aye. Finally a bit better exit out of 12. But again, too quick here. If here in this area, you need to have a car that is just on point. When you turn in, it turns in, and it doesn't snap, it doesn't understeer, it doesn't start doing things on its own. That's what you need there. Also going quicker by another 0.2. Yeah, stupido. Yeah, Lexar, the thing with the official tracks, you know. Effy at times, really, really effy. Okay, so looking into the setup, we said 7th gear, a click longer, see if that's enough. I'd like to still have a bit more camber, and also I will put up more camber at the front. What is the maximum actually? 4.5. I just put 4.0. Maybe that helps a little bit with a bite. Next up on the suspension, I want to further remove the right height there at the front. And what I said about pointiness and bitiness, I put up the anti-roll bar a little bit. And I'm even going to... I'm trying softening the front suspension by a few clicks. And the slow bump, because I want to improve that turn-in so much. Maybe there's still other options we can explore apart from those settings. What I consecutively suffer a little bit from is massive understeer when being off throttle. So I will turn the coast down to 25 and see what happens. Mark, I have already put all weights back to the rear. Oops. So let's see if 7th gear is enough this time. Well, some 200 RPM lower, and I expect this could be fine. Oof. No, chat shall be visible. Bear with me. My bad. There you go. Excuse me. Hello, Peppa. How you doing? Oof. And again, I expect most of the time to come from this area here, with a lower front end, with a little softer front end. We should be able to run a bit better cornering speeds on the front axis. However, and final turn will tell us. No, it's not feeling like grounding again. We will see. Yeah, Pep, I'm doing good. Busy racing the new monster machine around the Singapore circuits. Exits are really important in the car. So 7th gear, a little longer. Especially in the slow speed turns like this turn 7, there is a greatly improved turning momentum. Same I felt in turn 12. This lap's not gonna be it though, but here, 7/10. We go into it. There's a bit of oversteer on the exit now, which we somehow need to tackle. But yeah, we still gained half a tenth. And that's kind of what it's all about. Let's have a look. We go in there with 6.5 tenths of gap, 5.5. Four. Yeah, there is a net time gain in the final sector. A little bit of sleep there on turn 3. And the car is a bit oversteery on the braking. So we improved the front massively, which shifted the entire car balance a bit further to the front, which is nice occasionally when turning in. Like, look at this turn 7 here. We go in with 1.5 tenths back and come out with a massive time gain. Could even go probably quicker through it. And I'm pretty sure up to the hairpin we're gaining a bit of time. Even go in PB area and then, yeah. So you see, with those little clicks, and that is how sensitive the car is to set up changes. With just those little few clicks, we gained roughly a tenth from turn 9 to turn 13. And that is how sensible this car is to set up. Which means there is loads of potential on it. As already mentioned though, I need to tackle the rear end now. Make this a bit more grippy again. Like, you know, I do feel, and it's nice, the front end improvement. But at the same time, I'm kinda restricted and kinda hindered by really exploring it completely due to the rear instability. Yep, Pepper, today is a little bit of setup school, that's correct. So let's have a look, what can we do in turn 7? We're kinda getting there in identical. Half a tenth. Let's see, up to the hairpin. Ah, but you're not allowed to F. To throw it up there. 3.5 tenths back. It feels like you can drive tighter turning radiator. Which is noise. But as already mentioned, and we are going to tackle this a little bit with a few things. Now I'm suffering from rear, not really doing what I want. Hey there, Mike. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Altamont. You're not allowed to what? So the turn in was good. It could still be better, so I opened further on the coast. Since I had a little bit of issues going on the throttle, I'm closing the differential on power though. And looking at the chassis again, I felt this was the right direction that we went with. So what I'm going to do now is I will soften the rear spring to make the car a little bit more solid on the rear end. That's what I'm just trying to do here, allowing it a little bit more, you know, to be compressed, to be balanced, to be dampened. I will even soften the slow bump, and furthermore I will just add a little bit of right height, because that will get the turn-in still nice. That would make up also for the rotation that we may lose from the spring rate. So the softer you make the car on the back end, the more, I mean, yeah, the more lazy you make it. And with putting the right height a bit up to the front, that shifts a bit more balance towards the front. And despite the rear end still lazy, there is improved turning momentum now. So, this is something else that we could do. Thank you, Peter. And also Alex10, thank you so much for the follow, much appreciated. Not sure what I said this Altaman. Yes, we could lower the rake and get the rear end more stable, but this would cause us to have massive understeer issues again. And therefore I want to go the other way around, improve the rotation and yet make the rear end stick to the ground and make the rear end solid by adjusting the suspension that way. Well, Lexa, that is a good spot that you do. Reason is that the setup is very close to the default, so you know I just put the default in, and I just got going with it. Oops. Where is the wide line, Michi? Also, the higher right height will help us on going over the bumps and the curbs. Car will just be less sensitive to that. 600th in turn 7 alone. On the exit, better through turn 8. Car is less sensitive to the bumps now, thanks to the right height. Wow, we're 4.5 tenths up. Half a second. Six and a half. Amazing. At this stage we're already at the point where you can start thinking about doing the fine-tunings. And that's how you turn a basic standard setup into something kind of raceable. I'm not saying that this setup is perfect in any way or ready to race. But you see that there is more turning momentum, there is more trust of myself into the car, that it does exactly what I think and expect it to do. Can you see what a good exit is worth in terms of actual performance? Okay, let's have a check on 7th gear and pretend that we do have DRS, so that it's not just a standard hot lap setup but also would be eligible for a race. also see DRS effect. Right, hitting the limiter there. So let's go back to box, do more adjustments. As far as I'm aware now, the tire wear is balanced, which means front tire is just getting as much use as the rear end tire, which is personally a good sign. Means that the car is pretty much in balance in terms of how I drive it, how I want it. But traction zones are a bit of an issue, especially to the rear tire. So you may want to put the car to a spot where it probably just uses the front tires a bit more, as the older the tire gets, the more likely wheel spin is occurring on acceleration zones, and that obviously will kill the tire. Therefore you need to be a little bit more prepared in the long run. Box, Sebastian, box. A little bit more up on the right height again. A bit softer in the spring rate. I even go more open in the coast area. I'll keep the power where it is for now. On the gears, we need a click longer in 7th again. Well, since we use it only once, you can really just look that you have a 7th gear for overtaking and driving on the main straight. And that's about it. Other than that, well, I can, because there's a lot of bumps on the street circuit. I'm softening the fast bounds and rebounds, bump and rebounds, to try and absorb those bumps and shocks a bit better. And for the slow rebound, I actually make it a bit softer again in order to help the slow bump getting loaded up. And I even softened the slow bump a tad. So now we should really have a solid rear end, and I am particularly interested to see what Petter is finding on the car. So he has just bought it, and I will be interested to hear his thoughts on it. Especially in the way he thinks about setup and how the car is to set up. Personally, I just hope that the car is now even more predictable and solid on the rear end. Again, we test the DRS. If one click longer in 7th gear is already doing the jobby. In clean air, yes, and slipstream most likely not. Cheers, Donnerveld. How you doing? Thank you for joining. Well, I do have Hoisingfeld sprint pedals, and they're absolutely flawless and lovely. I would not want to have anything different. I'm as happy with them as I personally personally can be. No flaws, no hiccups, no calibration issue, no flickering, nothing. And very easy to maintain. Oh wow. So the changes we did completely took away the turning momentum of the car in the high speed turn. But if it fixed low speed turning speed, which we're about to keep checking, of course. And it's right way to go. Pretty much effed it up myself. So, moment of truth, sector 3. Missed the apex. Mike, I agree with you in the general way, but the car is in general very sensitive to a lot of settings. Which I think is great. But I've done it the wrong way this time, so back to the pits. Minimum right height is 0 millimeter, but you feel like the car starts to wash out at 10. You mean on the front? Car is sensitive to third springs, especially the packers of the third springs. PF right height. So I think I went a bit too far. Because now I'm starting to push the car around corners, which is not what I want. I wanted to still roll around there. So we'll go even lower here. What was the minimum anyway? 24. Nah, I don't. I want to keep it at, well, 30. We can try. Right. So there's two different things. First, we put the spring rate back up to 80, and then do I want to do that though? Means on acceleration there is a bit more rotation. I'm gonna try to put this on 20 to open it a bit again. and see what we can do with this. I think the car now has a has a time of 40, 47, 0, 46s in it. And so you see also, of course, besides a little bit of driving practice around here, but we got from a 48.0, I consider this the first kind of time that was extracting enough of performance of the car to make it comparable to other laps. But we already went down to 47.3. What do you mean that double clutch? Yeah, I mean, power diff is on throttle, coast diff is off throttle. No, I don't think so. The coast is relatively open already. If I open it more, I just fear that I may start spinning. See you, Pepper. Bye-bye. Ah. Lock up and inaccuracy on the hairpin. I'm sure there is potential gone. Let's see, 3/10. Wrong gear actually. Too hard over the curb. Hey Sector. Not too aggressive on throttle. Let's see in this area though. I think there is still potential time to be gained. And I again do the same mistake. locking up on the front. But here, just a tenth to find. Why first though? 1 second. Can I just for once be in the right gear? Not too hard over the curb this time. Car's less bouncing around. Great. You probably know what I'm about to say. She is too... Yes, it's quick, I know. But the rear end's too unstable. That's not how I want to race on a street circuit where I'm really borderline on the rear end. Short before about losing it. Again, going into the turn with a little bit of a slip. Let's not F up the hairpin. Yeah, but you see, rear end is heating up now. Not sure if I'm just pushing too hard. Finally, second gear. Nope. And I know why that is. Yeah, it's loose on power, and that means Papa Michi needs to lock the diff again. It's just more safe. I'm gonna probably try really locking it hard. And to counter steer that though, no, we don't counter steer, I just want to see the effect. Oh, I'm just gonna push it out again. And it should really help in the rear end. Like, the tires were 15 degrees hotter. I had more tire wear again in the back, since I was sliding it more. And maybe this differential introduces a little bit of understeer now. But if the rear is sticky and reliable, yeah, you still need the brake though for turns. If the rear end is sticky and reliable, then this is preferred big time. Anything else can somehow be addressed in the drive. I need to see how it feels 2, 3, 5 laps into the stint. If yeah, just from the exit of turn 3, you can see there is a lot more thrust. Thrust in the rear end. Don't get me wrong, I'm always happy to shake over 10th for safetiness, especially around the street circuit. For the second lap, this is considerably good. Yeah, this should be a real gain, if not for this wiggle. Hey there, Andrew. Something's missing though. Something's missing though. I actually want to increase the right height by 2 centimeters. Oh, I'm just trying some stuff now. And I'm gonna soften the spring rate again. And that's how I take it. I'm not sure, Sector. I'm not sure. Just 20 minutes anyway. We're gonna do 2 or 3 laps now. And then I'm gonna unfuel the car, put soft tires on, and see what quali performance it got. Whether we can go into the 39s or not. From the changes, I just hope that there is more rotation in the slow speeds. And still kind of same traction from softening the rear. So that the rake only supports the cornering while not dampening or hurting the acceleration and traction, rear instability. Yeah, the car is very difficult on low speed. There is tons of aerodynamical grip once you're over 200 kph. Then the car is kind of fine. But low speeds, I agree, it's a bit difficult. Hence why I say we're stressing out the suspension here. Really need to test suspension things. And it's easy to test them around here. Very suspension related track this is. If we really gain then in this third sector now. Too late. The apex. Yep. It is exactly what I thought it would be. Borderline. It's amazing how sensitive you have to balance the car with the brakes. Just the tiniest bit of brakes. And now in the final turn, you really see the effect of the rake. Much more aerodynamical balance at the front, and you can just rely so much more on it. But this is... Ay. This is the counter part of it. I think it's overdone. Yes, I have been quick with it, but it was a pretty sweaty lap, I gotta admit. So we're going back to a click. Well, on the spring rate it's actually fine. We go 2 clicks back on the right hand, and I think that is about it for basic suspension. I should really say basic suspension. There could be obviously ways to improve it still. But at this stage, you know, we're going round in circles. Power is fine. Coast is kind of okay. Not sure if there is anything to gain. This is the final test that I do to see whether brake map will get us anywhere. So increased engine braking for rotation. Especially for the off-throttle rotation. But in this turn, the car already felt borderline on just snapping in the rear, and this is exactly what it does now. So I don't think engine brake will be a huge help. In case it may just hinder us to go quick. And cause this kind of stuff. But I'm gonna do a lap on it. Yep, Petter, I agree. That is literally what everyone else says as well. Engine brake is nice for the mid-turn, but it's fucking up the entry balance. Yeah. That's what it does. Okay, so as promised, we're taking out the fuel of the car and do 1 or 2 quali laps. Maybe just 1. Well, 2 quali laps, we have time for 2. So 2 shots. 2 shots twice maybe. So 10 liters of fuel. Tires soft. Let's see how this tire feels. Well, this is a completely different car now. Obviously got DRS now for qualifyings, but probably are gonna be shocked by how good the car suddenly turns around the turn. Feels low weight and shit. Wow. I mean, yes, the car is light now, but holy crap. This car suddenly has a really good rear end. Not sure if it's also about the tire. Mexians too, thanks for your follow and welcome to the stream. Quali lap, here we go. Let's see if the car can do another one. I better say the tires. 40-1. Bit iffy here. I agree with you, Mike. It is a nice track. Wow. I'd never guess that the car has 2 laps in it. Tony, I agree with you actually. I very much agree. So, one final blow with it, guys. And I am really interested to see if this last lap that we just did was good, or whether it was just a learning effect. Means, now I think we went 3/10 quicker roughly. But was it the tire that was still okay to produce quick lap time? Or was it just us after the second lap of low fuel feeling more where the limit is? And for this we need to find out. So we're now doing on the same amount of fuel with a little bit of a fresher tire, another hot lap. And the question is, are we able to outpace the lap by a good margin? Or is it roughly identical lap time? I agree, Tony, I agree. It's not like those tires are straight out of contention. So let's see. We will find out in a couple of moments. This is the final lap for us, guys. Enjoy it. What a lock up on the front right. But we're purple. Ah, this was a bad one. Yeah, I personally agree. It is a mixture of both. Like, it is 4/10. It wasn't a perfect lap. Maybe it's 5/10, but as a conclusion, I'd say the tire is not completely gone after one lap, but it's not in perfect shape either. And on that note, I guess the fresh tire will give you a good edge. But especially in the first couple of turns, it felt like the tire wasn't ready yet. Just, I don't know, I turned it into turn 1, slid through turn 2 and 3, and I was like, yeah. Despite I'm identical, I don't feel the tire is at the right spot in terms of temperature and everything, just yet. But Jesus, I really enjoy driving this race car around here. You feel what the car's doing, you feel how you need to set it up, you feel when you're going towards the limit or over the limit, and that's really just what you want. I conclude this once again, this is a phenomenal car being built by Studio 397 and Motorsport Games for rFactor 2, and I can't wait to race it in Formula Pro. The competition will be sick. Anyway guys, that brings it to an end for this setup guide. It wasn't the most sophisticated setup guide, I may agree on it. But I still hope that you guys take something away from it. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, Papa, we are out of fuel. Where to park the car? Nice curb sounds. Attention. Slower, please, over the curb. You still hear it. It's phenomenal. Anyway, guys, this is gonna take it to the end of this one. I hope you have enjoyed it, as I already mentioned, and I hope it will be a little bit of a help for you guys to see whether you want to explore deeper into the car, whether you want to buy the car like it did help for Petra, I believe. And yeah, guys, I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate every like, I appreciate every comment that you put down on the comment area below after the video, of course, if you want to start a discussion and stuff like that. And other than that, I am here to say thank you. We will probably have another stream on Friday. Let's see what we're doing. Some BMW DTM fix, that's for sure. And probably some more racing in this car. Let's see though. That's gonna do it for tonight. That's gonna do it for today. And already a heads up for you guys, I'm gonna be out of town from Saturday to Wednesday next week. So please don't expect further streams. We'll look if there is an old video I can still put up. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you for your time. See you there. Goodbye.